Hi friends, and welcome to Gilded Loop. My name is Matt, and today I'm bringing to you a tutorial on a project that I recently completed. It is on a Afghan that is made with Premier puzzle yarn in the color Crossword. So this is the color Crossword in Premier puzzle yarn, and when you look at the skein, you see a lot of neutrals, but there's a lot of other colors hiding inside the skein, which is what happens with puzzle yarn. So sometimes when you're looking at the skein in the store, you can't always tell exactly how it's going to work up because these puzzle yarns are a little mystery because they have so many different colors in them. But I've never worked up anything in this puzzle yarn that I hated. They always have beautiful colorways. So without further ado, let me show you what it looks like when it's all worked up. So this is our Afghan that we're going to be going over today. So this is the Crossword color. You can see taupe, neutral, creams, lots of different colors. On this Afghan, we did a simple moss stitch border, and it just keeps it nice and simple. The stitch that we're going to be working on today in this is called a drop double. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into our tutorial today. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started on our tutorial today. What you're going to need for this is Premier Puzzle. You can really do this in any of your favorite colors of Premier puzzle yarn. I just happened to use the color Crossword. I was looking for like a neutral palette, but I didn't want to do grays. I wanted some taupes and creams and things of that nature, and this really did the trick. So this is what the skein looks like, and as you can tell, there's a lot more depth of color in here. Here's one of the skeins that I have left. And you can really see a lot of the darker colors in here that are kind of hiding within the skein. Okay, so our stitch that we're going to be working on today, this is called a drop double, okay? This drop double is so easy. It is easier than the granny stitch, in my opinion. And it leaves 0 holes whatsoever. You can see this cream was one row. This was actually upside down, but let's spin her around. So like this cream was a row, this row, and it just drops down. And so you have 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets, and you're working into that chain space into the next row. Super, super, super simple. So what you're gonna need today is you're gonna need a 6mm or a US J10 size hook. I am using the Susan Bates ergonomic hooks. It's a very affordable hook and I love them. Lightweight, easy to use. The measurements on this Afghan are 50 by 75. Now that's with the border. When you start, it is going to be about 46 inches wide, okay? You are going to use the multiple of 6 plus 2 when you're starting out. So we're going to go over that in just a second. So again, we have the drop double, and then we have the moss stitch border. We're going to go over both in this video here today. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, actually, let's find that's the end I want. All right, so when we're getting started here, we're gonna go ahead and make a slip knot. You make a slip knot however you like. This is how I do mine. All right, so if you wanna do yours to where you have the same dimensions as mine, I like to have, I've shared with you all before, I like to have larger Afghans. It's just, I'm a big guy. I'm 6 foot tall, 250 pounds. So I'm a bigger guy. I like to have a good size Afghan. So what you're going to do is you're going to chain 120 plus 2. But your stitch multiple is 6 plus 2. So if you want to go larger or smaller, you can do that. But your 120 plus 2 is going to get you 46 inches to start. And then we're going to have 2 inches on either side with the border. Okay? So let's go ahead and chain our multiples. So 1, 2. Okay, so I just chained, I'm just doing a sample size here, so I'm just chained 30. And again, you can do this for an Afghan, you can make a scarf out of this pattern, you can use your imagination, whatever you want to do. So 30 is divisible by 6, so 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, and 6. And now I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2. So there's my multiple, okay? 30 plus my 2. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to work a double crochet into this third chain from the hook. So 1, 2, 3. Let's work a double into that. Oops. And then that is creating 2 double crochets here for me on the end. When you're first starting your row, you're going to do 3 double crochets. Okay. So there's our 3. The 2 that we created and the 1 that the extra chain space at the end created. So we have 3. Now we're going to chain 2. 1, 2. And by the way, we're already on our repeat row here, so very easy. Okay. So we're going to chain 2, and because we're chaining 2, we're skipping these 2, 1, 2, right here. We're going to work a double down here into our third. So our first setup row here is essentially, we've got our 3 here. We chain 2 at the top, and we skip these 2 at the bottom, so we're creating this open space here. Okay, and then what we're doing is we are doing a double crochet again into the very next stitch. All right. So we have our space. We need to make that space again. So we're just having the 3 at the start, but everything else is 2, a double, 2 doubles. So we're going to do chain 2. I'm going to skip these 2 at the bottom. I'm going to do a double into that third stitch. And we're going to create another double into the very next stitch over. Okay. Do the same thing, chain 2. And I'm going to skip these 1, 2, and into this third. Whoops, that's forgot to yarn over there. 1. 2. Okay, chain 2. All right, let's repeat this to the end of our row. Into the very next one, another double. So far we have doubles in our chain spaces. Getting our first row really all set up here. Chain 2, skip these bottom 2, and into the third. I've told y'all before, I only bring you super simple stitches on this channel. You're not going to find anything very complicated. But everything that you find here, you'll be able to do, and it will be beautiful. Okay. Yeah, there are so many different colorways for this yarn. It's not even funny. And they're just all so pretty. I think this pattern specifically is going to look so nice with really no matter what colorway you choose. Skip 1, 2, and into the third. Oh, what did I even just do there? Okay, you should have one last stitch that you can work into here. And that's going to create your 3. So we have 3 on each end, 2s, and our skip spaces. Okay. Now, what you're going to do is we're going to go up to our next row here. All right. So going up to our next row, we're going to just chain 1, okay? Turn your work. Now, what I want you to do is you're going to create a double, and you're going to go into this first stitch here. See that? Okay, so let's do our double. That's what we should be looking like. Then you're going to chain 2. This is why we do 3 on the end, because you're going to have essentially 1 double here. This is going to be your open 2 space, and we're going to be working into this. This is where the drop double comes into play. So yarn over. You're going to come all the way down to the bottom here. Okay? You're going to be working into this whole open space, but you're not working into the space. You're working into the stitch at the bottom of the space. So I'm just going to pull my yarn up just a little bit. You don't have to stretch it super high or anything like that. And I'm just doing my double. Okay? I'm going to come into the very next stitch here, which is right next to it. Do my double. Okay. Now I'm going to chain 2. Then we're going to come back. We're going to do another double into the bottom of that first row that we did. Okay, there's my double. And don't be afraid to smash this together. It's fine. It's not going to hurt it. Okay. See how that skip row is kind of like wedged in between these stitches now? It's supposed to be. I'm going to chain 2 again, and we're chaining 2 because we have to create those open spaces to work into the next row. And we're going to do another double. We're going to come down to the bottom of this, and we are going to double crochet, and we're going to come into this next one here, and we're going to double crochet. Again, you don't have to pull up crazy, just like have your tension be a little more loose as you're going into that. And then we're going to chain, and we're going to go in chain 2, by the way, and then we're going to come into our stitch down here at the bottom of this. Okay. Double. And we're going to go ahead and do another double to the next stitch. Chain 2, double into the bottom here. You can see how easy and how much of a mindless stitch this is. When I was working up this Afghan, I did it while I was watching TV, watching my kids, all of it, you know. I didn't have to think too much, I could just kind of do. And that's what I like. If you're telling me I gotta count a bunch of stitches, the only thing I'm counting is a foundation row. Once I'm beyond that foundation row, please don't make me count. I like to crochet as a de-stressor. I don't need the crochet to be adding any stress. All right, coming towards the end of this row here. Okay, so you can see as the color changes, you're going to be able to see it coming down into the other row, and that's what makes it so nice. Okay, so we're coming towards the end here. We have our 3 stitches here. We're going to just be putting a double into the end here. Okay, let's go ahead and work the next row. So by putting that double into the end there, I hope you notice what just happened. You formed our 3 double crochets. So we have our 2 double crochets that we worked into that drop stitch, and by making this last one here on the end, it made it to where we have our 3 doubles here on the end. And that's what helps our pattern keep on going. So I'm gonna just do 1, chain 1, turn my work, double crochet into this very first stitch right here. Okay, there's my double, chain 2. I'm going past these and going in to this open space that we created. We're going into this stitch in the row below. So this is our repeat row. Every single row, well, it helps if I do a double and not a single, huh? All right. Every single row is going to be this exact same thing. We're going to be working into our stitches from the row below. And we're going to be chaining 2 and coming here. Here's my pro tip for you. Sometimes you have to move this because it is a little too far over and you almost miss your stitch. Because what you're going to do is you're going to yarn over and you're going to come down here and you're going to try to work into, you see where this double is? The stitch that you want to get into is just right before this double right here. See that right there? This is the one we want. So just right before that, and you're going to get into that and you're going to do your double. I'm going to yarn over, we're going to come back, and then here's that second double crochet, and we're just going in this stitch right before it. Okay, we're going to do our chain 2, and we're going to go and work into this next one here. Okay. 1, 2. You can see the colors really kind of starting to change and get a little bit darker. That's the nature of a puzzle yarn. Chain 2. Down into this one. Chain 2. I'm skipping over those and going into this space down here. It's really nice because you have that open space. So chain my 2 here. You always know where you got to go because you see this big wide open space. And if you were to work into this, you'd have this huge gap in your work. That's why we work into the stitch right below it. Kind of closes up that gap, gives it some texture, a little bit of cushion. And with this, a lot of warmth. 2. A nice warm Afghan to put on the couch. If you're like me, I live in Ohio, but I am married to a spouse who keeps it as Arctic as they possibly can. My temperature is always on like 67 or 68 in this house. It's always cold. So, all right, so there's our 3 on the end, and we're going to go ahead and chain 1. And do our double into that first stitch. Chain 2. Come work into this first stitch, and we're going to repeat. All right, I'm going to work a couple rows. Okay, so I worked a little bit more in this. I'm going to finish working up another row here with you. And I'm going to show you how you can close up the top so when you're all done, so you don't have these big gaps at the top, and then we'll go over our simple moss stitch border, okay? So I just finished 2 doubles. I'm going to chain 2. Come down here, and make sure when you're coming down that you're getting both sides of the loop, so not just the front or the back, but both sides. Okay, down, get that. And you can see as I'm working on these, in the first row I had to try to pull up a little bit. I don't here. I just put it in, smash it, and keep on going. Put it in, we can smash that down, keep on going. Okay. Chain 2. I'm coming into this last area here at the end. See, I'm kind of hiding here, so I gotta wiggle that to the side so I can get into the stitch the way that I need to. And I'm going into the very end here for a double. And you can really kind of start to see as your color starts to change, you're really going to be able to notice the standout of these drop downs here. Because it'll be the darker against the lighter, and that's what will really make it stand out. Down here, you kind of lose a little bit of it, but I promise you, and you can see in my full-size blanket how it really does stand out. Also, you don't have to necessarily put a border on this, because look, it does give you a pretty straight edge on both sides. So if you didn't want to do a border, you don't have to. I just like the border. All right, so I'm going to show you how to close up the top so you don't have these holes here at the top, okay? So we're going to do our chain 1, and we're going to turn. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to do single crochet across the top of anywhere that we see these double crochet stitches. We're going to be doing something a little bit different in these open spaces, but wherever you see that double, I just want you to single crochet right on top of it. Okay. Now we're going to do our normal drop double. We're going to do our double crochet here just like we have been doing. So we're going to come down, go in there, do our double. We're going to come over, go down into the stitch we want to get into, do our double. Now here we have 2 double crochets that are already there. So we're just going to work our singles into that. So single crochets into the top of any existing double crochets, and you're doing your drop doubles here, just like you have been the whole time. So closing up your project couldn't be any easier. You don't have to try to remember any other stitches. It's just going to be, you're doing your drop doubles, and instead of chaining 2, you're just single crocheting into the top of that double that's already there. Then we're doing our drop double. So you're just replacing your chain 2 with single crochets in those spots. And that is what is going to enable you to basically close this pattern up and make it undetectable. As you can see in the final project, you can't see that these exist because they're hiding within the stitches. And that's what we want. So do our double. It's our drop double, drop double. We need to do single crochet here and single crochet here. Oops. I don't. Doubles. Single. There we go. Just had to find myself. Single, single, drop double, drop double, single, single, double, drop double, single, and the very last stitch here, a single. Okay? See how the top there is just nice and straight? Like you can't tell that there were open gaps. All right. So let's go ahead and clip off the yarn. I'm just going to pull this through to secure it. All right, now for my moss stitch border, this is what I used. Premier Puzzle Solids. They have solid colors. And the nice thing is if you go on Premier's website and you pull up the puzzle yarn that you want to use, they have a slide that shows you what solids work or complement this yarn very well. And cream, it complements this because it's obviously in there. Look, that's the exact same color as what's on the bottom of this. So, all right, so we're going to go ahead and use this to create our moss stitch. Now, we're doing 3 rows around this of the moss stitch. So, go ahead and make a slip knot. Okay. All right. Now, I don't like to start in the very corner. I go like a little bit over. So I'm just gonna go right, we'll start right here. Put my hook through and then have this on the back side. All right, so I'm just gonna pull through and secure, okay? I'm gonna chain 1 here, so I just attached and I chained 1. Now, what the moss stitch is it is single crochet, chain 1. And when you chain 1, you're skipping a stitch. So we're gonna follow that method. So we just chained 1, so I'm skipping this stitch, and I'm gonna go into this next stitch and do a single crochet and chain 1. Then I'm gonna skip this next stitch here. I'm going to this stitch, single crochet, chain 1. Okay, and I'm skipping here, going into this one, single crochet, chain 1, skip, single crochet, chain 1, skip, single crochet, chain 1, skip, single crochet, chain 1. Do this to the end of your row, and I'll meet you there. Okay, so I have done my moss stitch across that row, and I'm coming to my corner here. So I'm going to do it a little bit differently on my corner. So I just did my moss stitch, the single crochet, and I chained one. And when I come to the corner, I'm just going to chain an extra. So I will have my single crochet, and then I'll chain two. Then my next single crochet is going to be into this exact corner spot. Okay, single crochet, chain one, and I'm going to carry this little yarn tail down so I can just tuck it in and hide it. So I'm going to skip. So as you're going along the sides, it's going to work a little bit differently. So you just have to pay a little bit more closer attention to your stitches. So I did my moss, I single crocheted and chained one. I'm going to skip right here. I'm going to go into here. So you're looking more for spacing here to be appropriate. Single crochet, chain one. So I'm going to skip right here. I'm going to go into here. Make sure I get my tail in there. Single crochet and chain one. Skipping here. Going into this spot. Single crochet and chain one. Skipping here. Going into this next spot. Single crochet, chain one. Okay. Now, because I'm kind of going into different colors, I'm just going to snip this. So I always pick up the scissors when I don't want to work. Okay, so single crochet, chain one. Single crochet, chain one. Single crochet, I'm here to my corner, so I'm going to chain two, and then I'm going to go into my corner, work my single crochet and chain one. Now you see what that just did by going into the corner like that? That's what creates these nice crisp corners. If I didn't do that extra chain there, it would like round and buckle. All right. Sorry about what you just heard. I'm near a furnace, so it makes noises. Okay, so we are skipping here and going into here. Skip. Single crochet, chain one. Single crochet, chain one. I'm going on the bottom starting row right now, so it's a little harder. To get two loops on the hook. You know, I definitely want to do that. Okay. All right. All right. Let's finish going around and I'll meet you back at the start. Okay, so I just turned my last corner here and I'm coming back to where I need to meet up with where I started. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do my single crochet, but I'm not going to chain one because I need to connect back with this. So I'm just going to do a slip stitch into my first stitch that I had here. And as you can see, it almost makes it invisible. Like, it connects really well. All right, if you wanted to stop here, you could just have it be a very simple, just outlined border, but the moss stitch gives it nice texture. So we're going to do 3 rounds. we're going to chain 1 just to go up a row. And then what we're going to be doing is we're going to be working into these open spaces. So you have your chain 1, your single crochet, and then the chain 1's creating that open space. You're going to be working into that open space on each of these. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to go into this open space. I'm going to single crochet. I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to go back into this open space here. Single crochet and chain 1. Single crochet and chain 1. This moss stitch is mindless. It's so easy to do. You're just going to be whizzing right through. That first row of kind of getting set up is the most difficult. It's not even hard. But once you are here, you're just working into these open spaces. And you see kind of the texture that that's giving us. Nice texture. It's a much nicer texture than just a single crochet across. Okay, I'm coming to my corner, so again I need to chain 2 here at the corner. Single crochet, chain 1. I'm actually going to chain 2 here because of the way that this corner is set up. I don't want it to buckle in. I want it to have a little bit more space here. Let's see. You gotta play around with these corners a little bit just to make sure that they are all landing properly. No, I think that looks right. Okay. So crochet chain 1. All right, so let's go around this and I'll meet you back at our start. Okay, I wanted to work one of these corners again with you, just so we're real clear on how to do those, because the last one was a little goofy. So I've done my single crochet. I'm chaining 1. I need to work into this corner space. It's a little goofier when you're setting it up, but when you're in this second row, it's a lot easier. So single crochet. So my single crochet chain 1, then I came into my corner space, I single crocheted. I'm going to chain 2. Then I'm going to come back into that same corner space that I was just working in, and I'm going to single crochet and chain 1. That is what is going to give you that nice crisp corner. So just want to make sure that we were real clear on how to accomplish that. Single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, chain 1. All right, so I've just come around my last corner, and I'm coming up to where I had started that second row, which is right here. Okay, so I've got this single crochet to work, but I'm not going to chain 1. I'm going to slip stitch in, and there we go. There's our second row completely formed. I am going to chain 1 to go to the third row. I did 3 rows. Again, you could stop at 2. I just like the look of 3. It just gives you that extra little texture. So let's go ahead and go around. Single crochet and chain 1. Again, we're just working into those open spaces, the chain spaces from the row below. Single crochet, chain 1, into this open space, single crochet, chain 1. We're just kind of working down the row. Whoop. Did you see the texture that that's giving? It's giving, as they say. It's beautiful. work this corner together. I also think the 3 rows allow it to have enough texture to have the corner hold properly. All right, so here's our corner. I'm gonna go ahead and single crochet, chain 1, 2, so we have our 2. Going back into that same space, single crochet, chain 1, and single crochet, chain 1. So by doing that, it makes our corner nice and crisp. Okay. Let's work around and I'll meet you back. Okay, so we're coming around to the very end. You can see that there's 3 rows here and 2 right here. So this is right where our break is. So let's work our last few stitches here. Single crochet, chain, oh, my tension is off. Chain 1. And single crochet, no chain 1, because we're going to slip, stitch, and, okay, slip, and I'm going to, and all you're going to do is you're just going to weave in that end there. And once you have that end woven in, it's going to pull that taut, and then everything is going to look very nice. Because this is a little bit smaller, I normally don't block big blankets ever, but on smaller pieces like smaller squares and stuff like this, they do benefit from blocking. So, but I promise you, in a larger project, it is nice and straight. So this is just a smaller sample size of what we'd be working with. And I like this because you can really get a glimpse of what that border looks like. I hope you can really make out how it's got just nice texture. Just a little bit extra texture. The moss stitch is great for texture. So we have our whole larger project here. That's what that looks like. We have our smaller project here, and boom. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial on putting together our drop stitch puzzle blanket. Please like, subscribe, comment, all the things to support the channel, and I have so many other projects that I'm working on and bringing to you very soon. So see you all soon, and thanks for stopping by. Have a great day. Bye-bye.